I have my engine mounts in. I had to shim my engine mounts to get the engine to sit level. I went to the forums. It seems like a lot of guys have had to do this. Some guys have been able to make it work with the factory just dropping in where it goes. But I had to shim what I'm gonna call the passenger side, the US passenger side, a 1/2 inch, and then I shimmed the driver's side a 1/4 inch. And the reason I had to shim those differently, the best I could figure out, is the horseshoe bolts are actually offset. So those rods or bolts that go through the horseshoe are actually about 3/16 different from side to side. This side here is closer than this side here is by about 3/16 of an inch. You can get your whole hand in there and then my knuckles get stuck over here. So the horseshoe rods go through on my setup. The G96 has an adapter, and that adapter, those threaded rods go each through the ears on each side of this adapter plate. So those ears go onto the threaded rod, and then they dictate where that engine's gonna sit. And my setup right there, that's as close as I could get. It's almost perfectly level. So I'll follow back up with you once I have this in. Got the engine in with my brackets. You can kind of see them down in there. So I got it in its spot, got a bolt through. So this is where it's gonna sit. It's perfectly level. Now I'm trying to figure out the routing of my cooling lines. So the cooling lines, you've got the water pump line has to come out here and basically do like a 180-degree turn to get back to the cooling tube. The cooling tubes are down here. There's 2 of them that run through the center of the chassis, back up to the radiators up here. So those cooling tubes run down through here along with your AC lines to the radiator, and then back to the water pump here, which has to flip around and hit a cooling line coming out down there, and then as well as your manifold return line here. So the manifold return line has to flip around and hit the cooling tube. I found this hose that should work pretty well. You can kind of see it. It's the top hose curling up through here. And if I cut it right here, splice it and flip this around, I think I can get this to hook into the thermostat house neck there and use that single hose as my cooling line with just one splice. If I can make that work, that's gonna be pretty slick. Most guys have had to do quite a few splices. I just got lucky. I bought this hose, which is what, a Gates 22043. So that Gates 22043 might work as one hose with one single splice to get back to the cooling lines. If it does, that's gonna be a huge bonus. Anyway, got the engine in. I'm gonna pull it out again one more time. Make sure everything is buttoned up. I have great clearance on the alternator, great clearance on the AC, or at least good clearance on the AC. These are my AC lines, which are gonna have to get plumbed up into the compressor here. But there it is, 347 in its location where it belongs. I ended up with perfect clearance on my headers. There's a little aluminum bar that goes up across here, goes right under them. That fits in there perfectly. They rise right above it, right where they're supposed to be. We'll be interested to see how the clam fits on there. But there it is.